Hello. Can you hear me okay? Okay, we can get started. I think everyone, maybe a few more people might join us, but it's 2 o'clock, so we've got a lot to get through today. So welcome, everyone. This is the session on navigating the journals, commissioning, acquisitions landscape. It's part of the business strategy track, just to make sure everyone's in the right room, because I know there's been a few room changes. So if you don't want to listen to this session, now is your time to find your right session. But anyway, my name is Victoria Ray, and I'm a freelance scholarly publisher. I'm also the professional development co-chair for the SSP as well. And we've got our speakers today. They're sitting in the front row there. I'll introduce them. But please feel free to tweet about the session. You've got the meeting hashtag, which is SSP 2015. These are our Twitter handles as well, if you would like to get in touch or tweet a bit whilst we go through this 90-minute session. So we've got Jeremy Nielsen. He's the Director of Publications from Radiological Society of North America. Then Diana Pesek is up. She's the Journals Manager for Penn State University Press. We've got Ashley Petrolak from Oxford University Press, and she's a Senior Editor for the Science and Medicine Journals. Then we've got Dan Morgan from Collabora. He's the Digital Science Publisher there at University of California Press. So over the next 90 minutes, I will just give you a brief overview of the session, and then our four speakers will talk for about 10 to 15 minutes. Then we'll have a panel session followed by some questions and answers. So here's what we're going to be covering in the session. We'll talk a little bit about launching new journals to grow a publishing business, both maybe one or two titles, but also doubling, tripling journals portfolio as well. Some market research strategies and roadblocks in commissioning, as well as managing the expectations from all stakeholders. Then we'll cover also some society partnerships, how we work with societies, how we, maybe big and small societies, so perhaps working with one society that just has a print publication, working with them to develop some online technology. Also those larger societies, big member institutions, how we work as a publisher and we manage those partnerships. After we've acquired that partnership, after we've acquired that content, how do we manage those relationships? And then a little about open access publishing, so whether the commissioning and acquisition strategies are any different really, so hearing about launching open access mega journals and open access titles, as well as hybrid publications. So before I hand over to the speakers, I just wanted to broadly introduce the topic and how I see journals, commissioning, and acquisitions, that editor. So as I mentioned, I do some freelance journals work. I've always done journals publishing, and I really enjoy the research development side of things, working with editors and societies and authors to launch new journals and acquire content. So I wanted to see how this fits into the publishing landscape as a whole. And as we're in DC, in this metro area, I thought a train map was quite good. I live in Austin, Texas, and not from my accent, you can tell, but Austin, Texas, there's no public transportation system like this. So I thought about train maps, and I thought essentially that commissioning acquisitions role is getting our publishing business from A to B. And we do that sort of with a lot of interaction. So I thought about the train stops along the way, how we interact with people, both external stakeholders and also internal departments. We follow a direction, and in order to grow and innovate business, we've got to select certain products and commission new work to make that business successful, and also sort of be part of that scholarly community as well. And that's why we're here, to aid that scholarly community. So with a train map, I thought the intersections are a crucial sort of part of that relationship between commissioning, acquisitions, and everyone else. But I also thought about the stops that we make. So in terms of, they've got to be followed in a logical order. So maybe we need to evaluate the publishing resources that we have, and then we can go on to identify new products. We can then form relationships with societies and editors, and then we can execute those plans and obviously then monitor the performance of the titles that we've launched and we're publishing. And then after all of these stops, hopefully we would have reached that end destination of growing a publishing business and serving the scholarly research community. So another train map here. So this is Tokyo, Japan. It's quite a complex system, this train map. So I thought if we considered now the publishing industry as a whole and how journals commissioning is represented within this network, this publishing network, as you've read in the program summary for this session, I really wanted to pull together some experts, those publishing editors, the journal's managers from different varieties, different backgrounds with different experiences. So I thought, like, well, with this train map, how are journal commissioning editors like the train drivers, or how are the publishers like the train lines, and they all operate on one network, and it's quite complicated. And the questions I had in mind related to how things are changing in the industry, how does that impact the commissioning and acquisitions role, are there like major engineering works going on, and how is that disrupting the industry? But also, how are things done differently? So if you think about large publishers, maybe they're represented by sort of big central train lines going through a city, compared to smaller society publishers that may be just serving local lines, local stations. So those are the questions I had in mind. And also, is business done differently if you are catering towards a commercial publisher and you've got to maybe answer to or be accountable to shareholders, in comparison to if you're serving a society, a third-party society? How does that reflect in the finances and how you develop business? And like with the Tokyo train maps, so that you've got private lines running and you've got national public lines running as well, so they all have to appear on that same network. They all have to coexist somehow as well. So with that in mind, I would like to move on now to our speakers. So first up, we've got Jeremy Nielsen. So Jeremy, you want to come up and load up your slides? I will introduce him.